New town. I don't hear it.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome again to another segment of Straight Talk with Grover Thornton. This program is designed to inspire, inform, educate, and to let you know how governments, state, federal, and local impact our lives. The sponsor of this show is Our Black Media. The producer is Mr. Julius Hall, President and Chief Executive Officer. I just want to take a few minutes just to talk about the election that we've been having over the last few months, and particularly the election that was held in May. I got to say that I feel very proud about all the contestants who were on this show. 9 people were involved on this show, with 10, but I don't include Attorney Joyce Griggs because she ran for a federal election, but she did not win. I understand she's going to try to run again. I wish she had won, but let's wait and see. But for the local elections, there were 9 people, and 7 people out of 9 won the election. So that gave me a percentage of 76%. And we're hoping that we see what happens to Ms. Boles, who's our guest tonight. And if she does win, I'm sure she's very intimately qualified. I can tell you that when we get into questioning her. But I just want to say that I thought I would just mention how important it is to vote and how this program has been very successful. And hats off to Mr. Julius Hall, a man who has really reminded me of the 60s. Doing things that inspire and uplift Black people in our community. I'm a little disenchanted when I think about our local state people representatives and things that happen, like this Senate Bill 208. I felt that if I were in the Senate, what I would do, I would have my district, I would have a meeting to explain that terrible bill, Senate Bill 208. I think that's part of that bill is if somebody gives you water, I don't know who goes to jail, the person who's giving me the water or the person accepting the water. But if a meeting was held to explain the bill to your constituents, then you will know about the bill. I don't know what other measures are in that bill that affect us as African Americans. We know what it is doing is to disqualify Black people from voting. That's the premise. That's their number one premise, is to deny us the opportunity to cast a ballot, because after that Supreme Court decision, one man, one ballot, a vote, and that's very important to us. And they're doing everything to disenchant us from voting. And we must vote. We must not pay attention to that. If we have to stand all day long. Like one lady said in a place, they were showing one night about voting. She said, if I have to stand till the next morning, I'm going to stand and vote. People lost their lives for the right to cast a ballot. And the 15th Amendment to the Constitution in 1870 gave us the right to vote. And I never could understand how the federal government sat down for years and years and years and years and years and years and never pushed for us to get the right to vote. I remember doing they really used to have the conventions and not talk about black folk at all. See, y'all don't know these things. I'm going on 91 years old, and I've been involved in this type of business, reading and knowing what's been going on since I was 18 years old. That's a long time. And people don't know that Herbert Humphrey, who ran for president against Nixon, lost, but he was the one that first, in the 50s or early 60s, pushed for a plank on the Democratic Party platform to include civil rights. Y'all don't know that.
No.
Plenty of things y'all don't know. Then I would be talking again about our coming into this country in 1619. I talked about it some last year. And the more we hear about it, the more we need to tell our young people that it has not always been good. So without any other talking right at the moment, I'm going to talk to our guest tonight. I'm pleased to have on the show Mrs. Laureen Boles.
That's right. Thank you for having me.
I'm happy to have you on the show, Ms. Boles. You came to my office the other day, and you and I communicated for a while, and I'm going to tell you very truthfully, I'm a straightforward person now. Okay. I tell it like it is.
Okay.
I tell it exactly like it is. A shoe fits you, you got to put it on. That's all I can say. But I want to be truthful. Because I try to be a Christian person, and I'm an individual with compassion, but I like straight business. That's just me.
Okay.
My children will tell you that.
Do I need to brace myself, Mr. Thornton?
No, you don't need to brace yourself, because
Okay.
I'm going to tell you this right here now. That you and I talked the other night, but I read over the information that you left me. But I want you to take an opportunity right now, and I'm going to chime in sooner or later, because I got to say that I was extremely, I don't know about your opponent. First, let me ask you this question. Did y'all have debates?
No debates.
That's what I can't understand.
I don't understand. There was a meet and greet in West Savannah
Uh-huh.
For all of West Chatham. And Dietrich Cody, the person who came in third in the race, he showed up, I showed up. And we had a great conversation. We answered questions.
But your opponent did not show up.
No, she didn't.
Now, see, that tells me something else about her right then. If you run for office, then you should stand up and take your position. Everybody that's been on this show have taken their position one way or another. Yeah. If you haven't, and you ought to stand up and explain your position, what you would like to do in this particular office. Yeah. But I was extremely impressed, ma'am, about what I read about you.
Thank you.
So just tell us something about yourself, where you were born, and tell about your education. I was so impressed by the Howard University. I really was impressed.
Thank you.
Go ahead, tell us about yourself. Talk
you.
To the people.
My name is Laureen Monica Boles. I am running to serve as your Chatham County District 8 Commissioner. I was born and raised in Savannah, Georgia. I'm a daughter of Carver Village. I attended St. Vincent's Academy, and I received a scholarship to Howard University.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes, and I actually went on to study civil engineering.
Very qualified.
Yes, my focus. And then I got recruited to go further north. I kept saying I was going in the wrong direction. I got recruited to go to Philadelphia to serve as a municipal stormwater engineer. So with the civil engineering degree, I actually focused on stormwater management. A lot of what we deal with here, what we need to deal with here in Savannah and in West Chatham, some of the flooding issues that we deal with. I actually went back to school and got a master's in city planning.
Oh, yes. I read where you worked with some communities and plan. That's the type of person we need in government. Yeah. That's the type of person we need.
I served 5 years as a non-executive director, and we focused on, I went from stormwater management. We focused on environmental justice. Again, we want the balance of working in what we have in a port city. We want the benefits, those economic benefits, because they're huge. They bring jobs, but we also want that balance. We want a great environment for our communities, our residents who are here as well. And so we're trying to find that balance. I got an opportunity to work on the Environmental Justice Act that was introduced to Congress in 2021.
Yeah, I read that. I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, in fact, a draft came to my office, and Senator Cory Booker asked us to convene local leaders around the country.
Now, see, I want to show people this right here, that you're not just shooting your mouth off. You got the evidence to prove it. See, we're not like Mr. Trump with all them lies he's telling. And how you can get around with the evidence? There's the evidence.
There's evidence.
That the man that showed the agreement that he made with Mr. Cohen about the payments. $34,000 a year, what a month or whatever it was. So the evidence, here's the evidence right here, where you were with Senator Cory Booker.
That's right.
I have the highest respect for him.
Oh, let me I got to tell you a funny story about that. So he came, we did a press conference, and all the night before I'm preparing a speech so that I can introduce him. And it turned out, when I got to the podium, they said, no, the senator's going to introduce you. So now my speech is all wrong, Mr. Thornton. My speech is all wrong, but I was honored. I was really honored.
Well, that's very good.
Yeah.
He's a very powerful senator in Washington.
He is.
And very respected.
That's right.
And I was kind of hoping that he would run for the presidency, so it's never too late.
Yeah.
But
and then I just as normal everyday citizen, like you said, church going, God fearing. With my church ran a community development corporation, and we wrote a grant and raised $13 million to build 75 units of affordable housing.
And where was that?
Right next to our church. So that, let me tell you what happened.
So in
Philadelphia.
Oh,
we did in Philadelphia. And that's why I wanted to say that, I've been working for a long time.
Well,
right? And
that's really a good idea. And also you serve on the Metropolitan Planning Commission.
I'm on the Metropolitan
Planning
Commission.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's the kind of person you need right in the office.
Yeah.
Not some hand-picked person who doesn't know anything.
And it can be difficult sometimes, right? So people come in and they're arguing their points, and sometimes they're for the development, sometimes they're not. And you have to make a decision based on an area of expertise, what you know about and what your background has taught you.
And I see here's the ladies and gentlemen, show you right here. There she is with the late
John
Lewis. I had an opportunity to meet him. I met him. John Lewis, there he is.
That's
so
right.
Really, you've been around some heavy hitters, senators, and they're trying to pass right now. They're trying to pass the John L. Lewis voting bill.
That's right. That's right.
That's why it's important that black folk got to get out here and vote. Because if we lose that Senate and that House, the mega extreme Republicans, you know what they're going to be doing.
That's right. I'll tell you, I was in D.C. Canvassing for environmental justice.
All right, we're going to take just a little minute break right here. We'll be right back.
All right. Wonderful.
I'm doing good.
Have you ever experienced a Juneteenth event? Come out to Port Wentworth and celebrate our second annual Juneteenth Festival. Friday, June 21st from 5 p.m. until 9 p.m. Come enjoy our music, our food, our heritage, our culture, and our history. It will be plenty of fun for everyone. Juneteenth is American history. It's a day that we celebrate and remember. It's a day that we look back, but more importantly, a day that we look forward. Join us this June.
Chatham County. My name is Laureen Monica Boles, and I am running to be your commissioner in Chatham County District 8. From Savannah's west side to Garden City, Port Wentworth, and the Highlands, the 8th District is primed for growth. I have the qualifications and experience to tackle the tough issues. When you elect me as your representative on the Board of Commissioners, I promise you I will serve as a consensus builder, not a dictator, and certainly not a puppet. You deserve accountable, transparent, and accessible leadership. On June 18th, vote for me, Laureen Monica Boles. Together, we will get things done, not let things be.
She's having a minute when you come back on, see. All right, we're back on again. Like I said, we have Mrs. Boles, Laureen Boles, running for the 8th District. And in my judgment, a very qualified person for that position. And experience as a person that's been involved in planning for the whole communities. If you have that expertise, that's the type of person we need in government. And then you didn't have any debates, so you could find out what your opponent, what she stands for, what she wants to do. You get a bunch of people, we're endorsing her. What she stands for. I remember one time when I was on the 5 years experience with Mr. Late Chester Dunham, and the lady for the school would never come on the show. We invited her, but she would go all the places, but she would never come on the show.
Okay.
So I say to her, you need to come on the show, let people know what your position is.
Right.
If you run for an office, be able to stand up for what you believe in.
Absolutely.
It's your program.
Absolutely.
Why would you shun away from debating?
That's right. That's right. If you are asking to speak for other people, you should
Exactly.
at least be able to speak for yourself.
Exactly.
Right? So-
Now, when during the break, when they're running the advertisement there, I saw where you mentioned and asking for people to vote for you about transparency.
That's right.
That's very essential.
Yes.
Now, what's your view on that?
Oh, absolutely. Because I shouldn't be in a position, one, where I'm not representing my people. So they need to know where I stand. And most importantly, I need to know what they desire. Right?
Exactly.
That's right. And they need to know that I am supporting them.
That's good. See, the reason why I say that, ask that question was a very good question to ask, because when I saw your advertisement there that you believe in the transparency, I got this in the mail yesterday, and I was shocked. I plan to respond to this about this Tabbers Bridge. Here it is right here. I'm not the only one in Savannah got this on the show. A bridge too far, and what it's talking about, which I think is not a bad idea, but enlarging the bridge higher and higher and higher, so for the big ships to come into the port.
Right.
But the people ought to know.
That's right.
Now here's what they say right here. For more than 6 decades, that's 60 years,
That's right.
the Tabbers Bridge has divided Savannah historic communities. To make matters worse, the Savannah Bridge project is moving full steam ahead without adequate public input. So in other words, they do all that, they look around, then the millage rate goes up, we got to pay for it, and we have no input on that.
That's right.
That's
People need to be engaged.
what I just told you from the very beginning about Senate Bill 208.
That's right.
I thought Mr. Miller is a senator, and Mrs. Jackson, very qualified lady, I can tell you that,
Yes.
because we wouldn't be where we are today if she had done the things she did during the 60s, during the civil rights struggle.
Right.
When she came to First Baptist Church, where I'm a member, I stood up and told the people of her work, which I don't take what somebody does. That's history.
That's right.
You can't cover that up, good or bad. This is good, what she did. But I figured that transparency,
Yes.
they should come to the city and their community, their district, and tell us about this no good 20 Senate Bill 208.
That's right.
It's horrible. So I don't know, like I said originally, who go to jail if somebody bring me some water? Do I go to jail or does the person who's bringing the water? You don't think that's important to know?
That is important to know. Right. That's
So
important.
I'm glad to see when you said transparency, because that's terrible what they're doing to people in Savannah. They're doing these things undercover, and only certain people know. And when you look around, bam, the millage rate goes up, and you got to pay more taxes.
That's right.
And you got no input. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's not right. It's wrong, unethical, in my judgment. So, Ms. Boles, another thing I was reading, when you went to Howard, you got a scholarship to go to Howard.
Yes, I did.
And where did you go to high school now? Right?
St. Vincent.
Oh, St. Vincent, you did say, I
Yes,
apologize.
St. Vincent.
That was Catholic school.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah, that school was very prominent at one time. I don't know what it is today.
I think so.
It's still really
you
good.
know, for women who lead. Women who lead. That's our motto.
Okay, but I know women who lead. I know it was very, very influential during the 60s, I can tell you that.
Yes.
And you had all this contact with these powerful people, Mr. Lewis and Mr. Cory Booker.
Yes.
And I read where you had all these experiences doing community work and planning.
Yes. Yes.
So what's on the table at the Metropolitan Planning Commission?
Oh, so much. So much. And, you know, we encourage people to make sure that they come down and voice their opinions. If you can't physically be there, send a letter. It's very important to send a letter. We'll ask those who are sitting on the MPC will ask, you know, when a developer gets up to speak, we will then ask, was there a community meeting? And we don't like it if there wasn't a community meeting because you didn't allow people to give their input on your project. And if there was
that's the same thing we talk right now, transparency.
That's
and
right.
People
That's
having input on they got to pay for this.
That's right.
Yeah, I had to pay before the Metropolitan Commission once for
Okay.
because we wanted to put up a directory on the outside of the building.
Yes.
And they were very receptive to me when I came in.
Okay.
Very nice, very nice.
Yes.
And when I got through explaining to them, because all the parts of the church had aluminum door frames.
Okay.
And so therefore this directory was going to be the same manner.
Okay.
But after that, it's over. We got to prove that because you have this type of things around. All that's been changed.
Yes. Yeah.
So far.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm so proud of you. The things that you have done.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
So what was the storm? Just explain the stormwater thing again.
Okay. So my first job out of college, the federal government announced there was going to be a Stormwater Management Act. It came out of the Clean Water Act. So they asked for cities to develop plans to manage stormwater. And they wanted the large cities to go first. And then they finally got down to smaller cities because it was not a funded mandate from the government. So the cities would have to pay for the program themselves. Some people enacted ordinances and charged people a stormwater fee. Some cities, they didn't do that. And people, you know, of course, people were already feeling overburdened in some cases, did not want to pay for this. So I actually wrote the ordinance for our city, the city I was in, and went down to DC and testified before the Environmental Protection Agency about what should be included in stormwater management and what should not.
Tell us, what is, you know, I know about electrical engineer and other phases of engineering, but what basically does the civil engineer do?
Civil engineer usually, a lot of the work is in cities. So we talk about those who are in construction and they might build bridges. I was in water, so we can do wastewater treatment plant. We can address flooding issues. There are people who, all different types of engineering. You'd be surprised, right? I remember that there were some of the major corporations, food corporations, were coming to Howard to look for engineers who deal with food, right? So it could be a lot of different things. A lot of things. And I chose stormwater management. The other option was transportation. I thought about doing transportation for a while. I was interested in that. And I eventually did get into it, but not as a major source of what I was doing. I got into it in planning. So I contributed to it's called Mega Regions, the Plan for America 2050. So we were talking about the infrastructure transportation needs for growing cities. And here I am, right? Here we are in a city that's in a county that's growing tremendously. and we need to address.
Well, to me, you're a great asset to Metropolitan Planning Commission.
Thank you.
You have all this experience in planning, and that's very essential to build a city. The infrastructure.
That's very important.
I see right now we're having a lot of accidents with these bridges.
I saw that. Yes, I saw that. Yeah.
So you're a very important lady for the
Thank you.
city.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, let me ask you this: when one goes to the Metropolitan Planning Commission, how long usually does it take? Do y'all have the follow-up meetings, and does the
Oh, she on the
committee-
Metropolitan Planning Commission already.
the people that own the committee, Metropolitan Planning Committee,
Yes.
do they meet with the people when they ask for a meeting, or do they go to, or they have to come to them?
You have to come to the MPC. They want to make sure that transparency,
Yeah.
right? So there are no side meetings between one commissioner and a community.
Yeah.
Yes, they want to make sure that it's all transparent. You can write a letter to us, and a lot of people do. They will write a letter so that we can all read it before and especially those who can't attend. At least we know what the people want when we make a decision. We know what the people want. So we will meet beforehand with the staff, and they will explain to us what we're going to see today. And then we have the meeting with the developer in the community. And then
Do we have any big projects going on now in Chatham County?
there's some in the Highlands that are coming forward. There's a little development on Ogeechee Road, and then we often talk about warehousing, right? And a lot of times developers will come in for warehousing, and a lot of community members will come out and voice their opinions against it. And so then you have to make a decision about, what's best for the community, try to make a decision. And sometimes, you can be outvoted, right?
Yeah.
So,
Well,
because
the reason why I asked that question because I doing a campaign when what's the senator name from Vermont, Sanders.
yes,
And when he was at campaigning, he was campaigning in New York,
yes,
and he was saying how these industries flood these areas of Bernard, where Bernard just lived, to have all this excess waste that has to affect the communities.
that does happen. In fact, that's what when Senator Booker sent the language for the draft Environmental Justice Act, it included a lot of air quality issues.
Yeah.
I added language about water, stormwater, because that's my area of expertise. And then I also added language. I spoke to some leaders in North Carolina. There in North Carolina who are concerned about. You want to just pick it up? Yeah.
Hello.
Concerned about hog waste, and so hog waste was being spread
I'm
on
on
land.
the show right now. You have to call back.
And then once the hog waste was spread on the land,
Mhm.
it would evaporate into the air and get into all the wind, and they're covering the people's homes. So we included all of that language in the Environmental Justice Act. So it wasn't just air. I added language about water. I added language about
But look at all that stuff going on with Camp June right now.
exactly.
Companies are putting all this waste. And the thing about it, all the Republicans are raising their hand and fighting the projects that want to get clean water.
Clean water, a basic right.
Yes.
I think it's a basic right.
Well, look what happened in Jackson, Mississippi. I wonder has that been cleared up yet?
No.
They were not giving money, and black folk is always in the black community. Well, we have time for another little break for a moment. I'm hoping that you are enjoying the show and getting the information that is very essential for us as a community. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Richard Coleman, and I'm running for the office of Sheriff of Chatham County. And when I'm elected, I promise to inspect what I expect. Chatham County, it's time for a change, and that change is me, Richard Coleman.
Chatham County, we have some growing pains that affect our health and our wealth. That's why the race for the Chatham County Commission seat is not a popularity contest. It's a job interview, one that requires a proven track record. My name is Laureen Monica Boles. I have served 33 years as a stormwater engineer and city planner. I've raised millions of dollars to create jobs and build affordable housing. Vote for the candidate with education and experience. Vote Laureen Monica Boles, Chatham County Commissioner, District 8.
Paid for by the committee to elect Laureen Monica Boles.
Okay, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. We're wrapping up this little meeting with Mrs. Boles. And Boles, just tell us very quickly some of the people that supporting you in this endeavor. And like I say, she's a very qualified woman, and she will be an asset to the community. I'm sure with all that experience that you have.
Thank you.
Tell us some of the people that endorsing you before we wrap up here. And it's been a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you so much. Well, as I mentioned at the meet and greet in West Savannah, Dietrich Cody from Garden City, he was an opponent and we was a friend, right? So he endorsed me and I am uber grateful. Also, and I want to make sure that I wanted to let people know that I'm getting endorsements across Chatham County, not just Savannah.
That's good.
So Mayor Barbie in Garden City, Ricky Lassiter, Natalie Morris, also in City Council in Garden City, Rufus Bright and Julius Hall in Port Wentworth as Councilman Bright. In Savannah, Bernetta Lanier, Alicia Blakely.
Oh, wonderful.
And entrepreneur, Rashida Edwards, right? So you have the business community as well.
Well,
And then my prayer warriors. I can't forget my prayer warriors and my team. My team is huge. Pastor Leonard Small, Melinda Gwen Thornton.
one of the greatest men in our city that we have. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Reverend Small, the man that
And guess
highly
what?
respected.
And just recently, the Savannah Regional Central Labor Council,
Oh,
so
Labor
Union
Council.
Label endorsed me.
Excellent.
But I wanted to just make sure that people know my team is mighty, right?
Good.
They've been excellent.
Well, I just want to thank you for coming on the show,
Yes.
and I hope you much success.
Thank you so much.
Like I said, I'm looking at my percentage rate. If you won this race, that would put my percentage rate over 80%.
Okay, I'm
But
going to do my
77
best.
is good, but 80% is better.
That's right. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to do
So
my
thank you
best.
for coming on the show, and I wish you much luck,
Yes.
and hope you win. And I know you're putting yourself all into it because you really are an excellent person for the position.
Thank
Planning.
You. Thank you.
That's very essential in any government.
Yes,
Is
thank you.
planning.
Thank you.
Not
very
anybody
much.
coming up to know anything about nothing about government.
Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure.
Okay.
So we hope to see you in the victory circle.
Thank you.
Thank you
All
again
right.
for coming,
All right.
and I hope
Thank
you
you,
much
sir.
success. God bless you.
God bless you.
All right, now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take just a moment break.
I'll be right back.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
I'm on.
Come out to Port Wentworth on June 21st and celebrate Juneteenth with us. Bring the kids, your family, and your friends and enjoy a day of entertainment, history, culture, and fun. Don't forget, the Port Wentworth Juneteenth Festival is June 21st in Port Wentworth.
Right? Ready? All right, we're back. My next today will be Mrs. Pat Gunn, a known lady in the community. She has a touring company. She has been featured in national magazines about her tour, and she's going to brief us and give us an update. You remember, she is very instrumental in getting that statue moved and put as Miss King, Susie King Taylor, on that square named after her. And so we're going to have her. She's going to give us an update on the weeping time. You remember, she told us about the weather in Savannah. It was the last slave market in the country. It was right off of West Savannah, right off Augusta Avenue over there. And there were some problems about getting the land to put a memorial for that occasion. And it was something about the land with the Salvation Army buying it. It's a bit of controversy. However, they've been working with the governor about this situation, and I think she has some good news to brief us today on what has taken place. Welcome to the show, Ms. Gunn. Nice to see you again.
Thank you, Mr. Thornton. I'm always glad to be on your show. Good evening, everybody.
Well, tell us about this good news. When you called me and was telling me about the government has signed some type of documentation, and just brief us on what has transpired.
Well, we have another victory. We have an official Weeping Time Cultural Heritage Authority, and it was passed this past session, less than a month ago. The session ended, and you have 40 days after the session when a bill passed, the governor can veto it. And so we counted out the days, we prayed. Everybody from the Weeping Time Coalition to folks who have a heart for this work prayed and did their lobbying, and the governor did not veto it, so it becomes an official authority. So June 10th, coming up, will be the official day the authority is set in place. What does that mean for the Weeping Time in West Savannah? The Weeping Time was a bill that came out of a concept where we talked to State Representative Gilliard and said, we think that we should use the model of the Gullah Geechee Federal Corridor, which is a 4-state corridor in Georgia. I have to say their names. Dr. Jamal Touré, myself, 2 other people from South Carolina and 1 from Florida, lobbied Representative Jim Clyburn to get the federal corridor with the guidance of the National Park Director, Michael Allen. You guys stay with me. We got that federal corridor passed, and 4 states deep has a federal protection, 2.5 million people. We had to put together a business management plan, and once we got the plan done, each state received $1 million each. So that model was shared with State Representative Gilliard, and he said we should put that together for Chatham County, where the actual sale happened. Now, I know we have other counties like Liberty County and McIntosh, but that site over there is sacred to Chatham County and West Savannah. So it is specifically set up for Chatham County. We will have 5 commissioners who represent the authority, as well as an executive director. And so the structure is there. The victory is won. We have an authority that will now be in the governor's budget. How much money? We don't know the exact number, but I can tell you the authorities that the state manages are millions of dollars. And we also have a commitment for the county, Chatham County, to help. So Chatham County Chairman Chester Ellis was one of our biggest allies. We called him up and we told him about this bill. And we said, we want to buy some property where the sale was held, and there's a private property over there. Yes, I know about across the street with Bartow and the public housing and the Salvation Army. We are talking about the property across the street, which is where the sale happened. All of it has to do with the sale, but we want to have some money so we can go and negotiate. So now Chatham County Chairman Chester Ellis has agreed to match whatever the state has. And so we have an authority, and the state will decide how much money. There will be 5, again, commissioners, and those commissioners will be chosen by the state reps for the Chatham local delegation. In honor of the coalition, Pastor Larry Gordon and Dr. Leonard Smalls and all the members of the coalition, as well as others that had their own organizations, I say this is a victory for all of them, all of us, because this is the very first authority that the state of Georgia has ever given to an African American community. And so this is something to celebrate. Right now, the plans are to do all the homework and have a big celebration. We're waiting now for approval. We hope and pray from Brock Elementary School to have the event there, to kind of have the coalition to host a party with a purpose. So once we can get approval, The Weeping Time Coalition is in the driver's seat, and they're going to have a party with a purpose. And so we're just honored that we could do this. The lobbying, Mr. Thornton, the legislative lobbying that went on was amazing. Everything that we asked the community to do, they did. When we said go, they went. When we said be silent, they were. So once the bill was passed, we did not want them to agitate the governor. And the governor didn't want to agitate his constituents, so we hushed, as they said. And on that 40th day at midnight, we got approval because the governor did not veto. He quietly let that bill go through. And I'm telling you, do your homework. We've never had this kind of authority. And so now we can have an opportunity to build a memorial in West Savannah where the authority runs it. And guess what? Even if the Bradley Company doesn't want to sell their land, this authority is calling for the creation of a memorial for the Weeping Time in Chatham County, specifically in West Savannah. So I am so excited for the work that's been done with the coalition and others. And so my organization is the Center for Jubilee. All we did was basically help push the can down the road. But I am also the legislative coordinator for Representative Gilliard for District 162. So my job was to help him to get this bill done. And that's what we did. And it is a local bill. What does that mean, y'all? That means that we have found a methodology, Lord have mercy, to get local bills passed and not have to go through the entire state and Senate. So this was done by 5 legislators from Chatham County, 3 Republican and 2 Republican and 3 Democrats. So I just want to say shout out to State Representative Gilliard, Representative Ann Westbrook, and Representative Derek Mallow on the Democratic side, and Ron Stevens and Jesse Peachtree on the Republican side. And Jesse Peachtree really should be commended because he also came up with a resolution asking for the money and asking for the money in millions. So I think it was amazing. And what they said is it's the right thing to do. So I am so honored to have been a part of this. And so we're just waiting for the approval so we can get going and planning this authority. It will take time, but guess what? We have an authority now, and that authority goes into the state budget. What an amazing victory this has been.
Well, that is marvelous to hear, Ms. Gunn. You were very influential in getting that statue off of that property where African-American slaves are buried.
Yes, sir.
Calhoun, when I read in the book, saw where he said slavery is not an evil, it's a positive thing. You hear what I say?
Yeah.
He said it's a positive good for Negroes. That's the terminology he was using. But I can't believe it. I don't know whether this will have to be off of you because you took the leadership, and now you have taken the leadership on Weeping Time. You're taking the leadership. You took the leadership, I should say, on the square. So Savannah ought to be very grateful to you and proud of you. And this is a heritage that Black children. See what we got to do. We got to think of not ourselves right now. See, when I think how far we've come,
yes, sir,
as a Negro race from 52 up until now, and when you look back in the history, what I'll be telling beginning next month after all this election business, how the Republican Party, Lincoln gave us liberty. We could move around, but we never got what? Equality.
That's right.
We never gotten that. And to get this statue, I hope one day of the Miss Susan King, I was reading about her the other day in a book I was reading about her. She was a nurse.
Absolutely.
And did you know when I was reading that father of the Union troops, as the men got shot up, she was there attending to people in the battlefields.
Yes, sir.
She was a nurse that traveled with the Union Army.
Yes, sir. Ms. Thornton, we went to Boston. I went to Boston about a month ago today.
Yeah, you were supposed to tell me about it, but you never did call me back to finish telling me.
Well, I just want to share this with the listeners. We wanted to find her graveside. Many from Savannah have gone and made that trek, and so we wanted to do the same. The cemetery closes at 5. We get there 3:45, and there are no directories inside of this veteran cemetery. So It's a huge cemetery. It was 5 of us there, and one of them was a representative from the mayor of Boston's office, and we split up. We found her gravesite 4:45 before the gates closed, and we laid flowers and we paid homage.
Hold them up.
And so we just promised her that we will get a statue, a memorial in
Ms. Gunn, I have to interrupt you for a minute. We got to go on a little break because we're on a time schedule here. We'll be right back. So just hold your thoughts because what you said is very good for us to hear.
Thank you.
We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back. A little short break.
I'm Patty Hewitt, and I'm worried about our future.
Last one?
I think about my grandkids and the belief that they deserve every opportunity. And what you deserve, what coastal Georgia deserves, is someone who cares more about their community than about corporate profits and big pharma.
I'll see you later.
All right, thank you. Small business owners and hardworking Georgians are the heart of our community.
Good day.
Not CEOs, not lobbyists, not shareholders, but who's taking care of them? It's time to ask yourself, what do you want from your government? This is our year to stand up against what we know is wrong. No more DC politicians invading our home life. No more racism that kills dreams and spreads violence. And no more corporate greed at the expense of workers' rights and our environment.
So what would be the most meaningful help to you?
I've spent the last 8 years working behind the scenes, mobilizing our communities for positive change. And while that is really important work, I can't stand by and allow the same tired politicians to run this country, the same ones who've neglected the real needs of Georgians. I'm ready to take our seat in Congress so I can fight for you and your families.
I vote for you.
Thank you, my darling. I love you. This isn't about party lines. This is about voting for a better future for more Georgians. Enough is enough.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. Thank you, Ms. Gunn. Again, we continue on this very important venture that you gave yourself into. You really worked for many years, particularly with that statue. I know from the beginning when you first started, and that Jubilee organization. And I want everybody to know it's not only a Black organization; it's an integrated organization that she has. And I'm grateful for the honor that you all give me once at the luncheon. I would appreciate it. My grandchildren in the future, great grands, I'll be dead and gone, but they can see I did make some contributions and things are better because I was here. Yeah. And if you were here during the 60s, my God, the thing that we had to do as a people.
Absolutely.
We talking about a lot of that during the series of lecturing about Black history.
Yes.
People don't know what happened in 1896. They don't know what happened in the election of 1876, 1877, when the Republican Party turned on Black folk. They took us out the woods and left us. They were tired. They worried about money. So the Republicans dealt with the Southern Democrats. And one of the worst things they did when they pulled the troops out the South. Mm-hmm. That's when the Ku Klux Klan got started. That's when Black folk, they were senators, representatives, all in the Congress, and governors and all in the South, because Black folk could vote.
Absolutely.
And after that, they found out that we would get power and everything began to turn against us. So when you think about the contribution that you've done and made, Savannah and Chatham County will be extremely proud. I know I am, because that was a hard job and hard work. And people don't know that you've been featured in some of the leading magazines in the nation. And like I said, you get angry with me because because it makes me angry. Like I said, this is straight talk, and I tell it like it is. And I get really angry when every time they have that Negro Black Festival, they never recognize you. Right here in Savannah, Chatham County, when you're known all over the country.
Well, Mr. Thornton, it's okay.
I know what you always say. I'm not worried about that. That's not the point to me. We need to recognize our own.
I always share with you. What did I say? I said they said the same thing about Jesus. What good can come out of Nazareth? It's just Jesus. So
that's what they said. That Jesus, nothing good come out of Nazareth. And the best thing ever lived came out of Nazareth. But the fact of the matter is, the scripture also give honor to whom honor is due.
Yeah. Well, it's a collective work. I want people to know you can never go alone. I do appreciate God using me as a vessel. But in this work, you need a lot of people on your side to do the work. And so I'm so proud of everybody from the Taylor Square Coalition to the rename.
Yes. And long after you're dead.
It's a collective work, and everybody should be proud of the work to say that it's the people's square, it's the people's weeping time area. We should declare both of those places as sacred places and spaces where our
That's what I'm talking about. Where black folk,
sacred places now.
Where black folk gave all of their had, their last devotion.
Yes.
200, like Lincoln said, 250 years of unequated toil.
Yes.
250 years, ladies and gentlemen, that's 2 centuries and a half.
Absolutely.
Working for nothing.
Yes.
And then, of course, when I look around as a metaphor, when God, and I read my scripture this morning, where he said, God said, the earth is mine, and I'm the one that brought you out of bondage. And that's what he did for black people, and we as a race. I'm going to get on that one day, as we as a race. Some people are not going to like what we say, but I don't care. Because we got to save these black kids here. We're losing our black kids. Devices, drugs. They don't raise the children to know about God, about Christ. They don't go to Sunday school. Hardly no churches got no Sunday schools no more.
Yeah. Yes,
I can tell the truth about it.
Yes, sir.
I'm not going to be truthful. So the fact of the matter is, you got to give you the contribution, got to give you the credit. Because you took the leadership. Now, when I went to your meeting, this white gentleman congratulated me on the award you all had given me. And we were coming out of the building. He said, Mr. Thornton. I said, yes, sir. And he said, well, so glad. I know you're happy to get that award. I said, yes, I really appreciate them honoring me like this. He said, can I say something to you? I said, yes, sir, speak. He said, when are they going to move those Confederate statues out of the park? Why aren't our people, our leaders saying something about it? Now, I understood, is this so? That the money has already been appropriated to move the statue. Why hasn't it been done?
Well, yes, shout out and kudos to Christopher Monroe. He was the person that got that done, where the city officials have already voted to move the Confederate statues, the soldiers out. The monument is going to stay, but they're moving those soldiers and transferring them somewhere. But what they're saying now is they have not found a quote unquote safe place for them. I think they should transfer them to the Confederate cemeteries all over Savannah. They're dead and they belong in the cemetery. They don't belong on public squares where we pay our taxes.
Absolutely. Never should have been put there in the first place.
Any image in Savannah in public places that offend others with our tax money should be removed. Folks ask us all the time, are you guys going to go after another square? No, we are using Taylor Square as the model. If you see something out of order, you want to change a square, a street name, a school, we have the format for that. And the methodology is we agitated the citizens that something is wrong. We educated leadership downtown. Yes, we did. And then we organized the people around it. So that 3-prong effect is what your generation did, Mr. Thornton, in the post-civil rights era and the civil rights era. So there's nothing new under the sun. Agitate folks, educate them, and then go get you some people and organize them and make leadership do right.
Exactly. And then the thing about it, though, like Mr. W. Law said to me one time, great leader as far as I'm concerned, he said to me one time, we work to put our black people in political jobs, and they don't speak out. They don't speak out. And there's no excuse that those Confederate statues are still on that property. When I watched the TV one night, the biggest statue in the South was in Richmond, Virginia, which was the capital of the Confederacy, and where Robert E. Lee lived. And they had a statue gigantic. It took 2 or 3 cranes to take it down.
Yes.
You know why? Because the community, the political leaders, black and white, wanted that to take it down. It's not going to get down by itself.
Well, you do know that we are in court. We had a challenge on April the 3rd. So someone has the city of Savannah in court to replace the square's name and return it to John C. Calhoun. Our organization, the Center for Jubilee, Susan King Taylor Center for Jubilee, went to court and asked to intervene, and the judge has accepted our intervening. So now it is the city of Savannah and the City Center for Jubilee challenging this African American man who says he is a descendant of John C. Calhoun, and he wants that name replaced to John C. Calhoun.
Nobody want that man name back on there.
Listen for the case. If the judge rules in our favor, which we pray he does every single day, we pray that. If he does rule in our favor, we think it will be precedent setting and it will give permission for other cities and towns throughout the state of Georgia to go after their monuments as well. So we're waiting and praying, but we hope that we can keep the name Taylor Square and not go back in time. So be on the watch. We'll keep you posted. The decision is coming out anytime now. But we were in court on April the 3rd. Someone has challenged us to replace it and return it to that name. So what does that mean? That means that you have to stay awake. You cannot go to sleep because you have to guard your freedom because someone's always trying to challenge your freedom. Don't go to sleep, y'all. Wake up, get to the polls. And I don't normally endorse people, but I just heard the interview you did with Miss Boles, and I think she is wonderful. And I'm going to officially say, Miss Boles, I'm going to vote for you. You are the one for that 8th district because of all the environmental problems that's going on the west side of Chatham County. I think you can help us. So she is awesome, and I'm going to endorse her right here, if I may. Thank you.
Well, you have the right to do that. Well,
yes.
you have been such a great leader in the community. Your tours. A lot of folk don't know right behind City Hall is a place where they stored African-American slaves.
Yes, sir.
In that dungeon, you showed it to me.
Yes.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yes, sir.
The things that our children just don't know about these things. That's why I try to talk about history. And I read an article where this lady said grandparents will have to sit down with their children, take our children to the libraries, let them read about our people. Look what they're doing in Nazi Germany in the 30s.
Yes.
Great scholars, the great Jewish scholars. You know what they did? They burned books.
That's right.
Bonfire with Jewish great books. And I thank God that Albert Einstein had said enough to leave. We never would have had the theory of relativity if he had stayed in Germany, because they murdered the Jews, the Holocaust. Yeah. So it's very good that a person like you, history, and we leave a monument, and they may not, like Dr. Gilbert said to me one time, he came to Savannah, started NAACP, and set 40 NAACP chapters all through the Georgia. That's during the 50s when they were hanging black people.
Wow.
500 black people in Georgia. And a lot of folk don't know that I just had to mention this, that Mr. Law told us one time during the 60s. There was a man named Mr. and Mrs. Henry Moore.
Yeah.
That lived in Jacksonville, Florida.
Sure. I know.
And the Ku Klux Klan people, the racist people, slipped in their home.
Yes.
And put a time bomb under their bed.
Sure did.
And these people was out there meetings and whatever. When they came home and they went to bed, he and his wife went to bed. Well, at a certain time late in the morning when they knew they were sleeping, they detonated the bomb and blew them up.
Remember the case. Yes, sir.
And that's a true case that happened.
Yes, sir. I remember. So
we have to stay on our guard. We have to do the things that we have to do. Well, I wanted to say that we have 1 more minute to go. It has been a pleasure talking with you. And I need to get some more information on the series. Will you give me a call tonight?
I'll be glad to.
I appreciate you being on the show. And I hope American.
Don't forget the June 20th lecture at the Second African Baptist Church, The Making of Taylor Square. It's a free event. Everyone is welcome. And Mr. Thornton, you got VIP front row seat. You're going to be there. And in the fall of this year, we're going to have a lecture featuring Mr. Grover Thornton talking about the slavery to freedom era. So we look forward to you doing the next lecture. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show. And I hope that people in Savannah, Chatham County appreciates you. And we need to spread the word and use you. And like I said, you don't say, oh, well, but I do get angry every time in that festival and we don't use what in our old community.
Well,
God bless you for what you're doing, and your name will live forever for the things that you've done. Like Dr. Gilbert said, they may not call my name, but when they get to talking about it, they'll have to call her name. Greenbrier, USO, YMCA, 40 chapters of the NAACP throughout the state. The first black police officers in the South. All of that was by his hand.
Legacy.
He's always been my idol.
Yes.
Not to worship. I worship Christ and God. but I always wanted to be a man like him. To take a stand. Because one thing he said to me one time, Gerber, when you take a stand and speak out,
Yes.
people respect you.
About that.
With that, I want to say thank you very much for listening, and hope of God's will, I'll have another show next month. God's will. Thank you all very much for listening.
Good
And have
night.
a good night.